How good are generic 190cc heads off of eBay? Really damn good. These heads are awesome. I gave $190 for them. They're supposed to be 190 cc's. They are actually, CC these, they actually came out to 200. Uh, these heads are great. I don't know what else to say about them. If you look, you can see that's a ductile iron valve seat. Look at the valve job on there, and I don't know if the camera will do it any justice, but that is a very nice radius valve job. It's not competition quality, but I mean nothing that you're going to get out of the box generally is. Uh, the intake ports are good. I mean, everything's good. It's a clean casting. Um, the chambers, I mean, if you look and you see how the valve job is already blended down in there, that's going to take very little work um, to clean that up. I mean, the question that you're going to ask is, can you run these out of the box? Absolutely. I mean, they're going to bolt on and they're going to perform very well out of the box. Have no doubt these things will flow in the 250s with a 202 valve, which is what these are set up for. Um, they're just good heads. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. They're cheaper than hell. Man, these things are good. Generally, the first place I look at on any kind of aftermarket cylinder head is I look at the short turn. I want to see the design, but I also want to see how well the valve job is blended into it. If you look, there is virtually no ridge right there, and that's pretty rare actually. I mean, even on higher dollar heads, to a certain price point, $800-900 pairs of heads, you're typically going to have a step right there. These do not have that. I mean, it's like that all the way around. Um, They're centered up in the castings. I mean, there's not a whole lot of course shift in these. There's a little bitty, itty bitty ridge right there. But overall quality is very good on that. I mean, the intake port, this is the same Dart Pro 1 200cc intake port that they have copied. One little area that could be a little bit better, and all the heads are like this, but this area right here, would like to see that be widened. However, I'll just do that with the burr whenever I get to cutting on them. But I mean, overall, these are just damn good. So looking down the intake port, and they look good. They've got the vane there. They've got everything correct. See if I can put a little bit more light on it without blurring everything out. I mean, obviously, a little bit of wall friction there from the casting, but overall, it's a pretty quality casting. I mean, it's actually a damn good quality casting. It's very thick. I'll show that here in a second, but it's very thick. But I mean, the guide bosses look great. If you remember the Flowtech that I did, had those huge guide bosses in it. This is not going to take near as much work to make a really, really good head out of this. Looking down the exhaust port, it's just a Dart Pro 1 copy of the exhaust port. It does have a ridge where the valve job blends in at the short turn. Luckily, it's on the short turn, so it's not that big of a deal as cast. If you plan on running these as cast, it looks pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty clean, and these castings are cleaner than the deep motors that I got. They're a better head than the deep motors out of the box. Just the way the valve job is, the way that the seats and everything are placed in the heads, not as much course shift there. As far as what these heads measure, I think I mentioned earlier in the video that they measured right at 200 cc's. Well, if I didn't, they measured right at 200 cc's. I knew whenever I bought them that they wouldn't be 190 cc's because I mean every head that looks like this one, with the milled with the 3-inch milled face on the exhaust flanges and everything. That's a Dart Pro 1 copy. Every one that I've ever seen. There's two different types of ports. This has the rectangle ports, which is an actual copy of the Dart Pro 1. There is another one like the deep motor that has like a Vortec looking port. I mean, those flow about 10 CFM less, maybe. That's what the deep motor heads are. That's the ones I had. I mean, they ported fine. I ported them to 228, sorry. But anyway, the intake runner was 200 cc's. And that was measured with a syringe. I mean, I'm sure if you did a burette on it, you would get, plus or minus. I'd probably off to plus or minus 2% or so. The intake, the throat measured 1.810. which is 89.6%. We could call that 90% if we wanted to. The bowl measured, intake bowl measured 1.837, which was 90.9%, or we could call that 91. On the exhaust side, the exhaust throat measured 84.6% at 1.355. And then, but the exhaust bowl measured 1.507 at 94.1%. So that's awesome. That's probably, I mean, I'm going to do just a little bit of shaping to it, but that's about where it's going to end up at. I mean, I'm going to probably end it up at 95% on the bowl, and then, you know, 88%, 89% on the throat whenever I'm done. I'm not going to do much to these heads. What I plan on doing is trying to do what most people would, and I want to put a set of the really cheap Elgin valves in them, and you know, just do some basic cleanup on them. You know, blend in the short turn. Just do a little bowl blend. I do want to take the bowls out to 100%, or 100% intake bowl to see what this thing will flow. Blend them in. Not do anything to the guide boss. Just leave it the way it is. So, should you buy these? I say yes. They're going to work out of the box. You can just put some valves in them, springs. Be sure to lap your valves in so your valves don't leak. They're good heads. Basically, any of them that have that milled face right there, it's a 3-inch milled face right there. They all look the same. They're all really, really good heads. I mean, they cannot be beat for the price. I love Vortec heads, but these things, they will outperform Vortex. They will cost you less than Vortex these days. It is the absolute best, you know, budget, as far as budget. I mean, it's the absolute best budget head that you can buy. You asked what these heads flow. Well, this is obviously not this set of heads, but this is an identical set of heads done on a flow bench by a person who does not sell these heads. He doesn't care what they flow. He's just an honest dude. You know, they're good flowing heads. They've got a good exhaust port. They flow in the 250s on the intake port, not done with an exotic valve. These were done with Urson Competition Series valves, which are, you know, middle of the road pricing valve. That's what they flow. After looking at the quality of the work on these heads, I mean, I have no reason to believe that they will not flow that, if not more, without any work done to them at all. If you do buy these, the only suggestion I would make is that just be sure to buy some adjustable guide plates with them. Generally, the only complaint you ever hear about these kind of heads is you know, people will complain, well, my push rods didn't fit through the push rod holes. Well, I mean, sometimes that's the case, and it's not just the case with these. It'll be the case with a lot of aftermarket heads that you'll get a hold of. Buy some adjustable guide plates, you know, just throw them on there. You're going to be just fine. So while I'm thinking about it, a update on the Flotex. Took those to get a competition valve job. I got talked into putting a bigger intake valve in those, so I'm going to have to, whenever I get them back, I'm going to have to do some more work to them to blend the 208 valve into them. Those should be some pretty heavy hitters whenever I get them done. There's a lot of work in them. I'll put some pictures at the end of this video so you guys can kind of see what kind of progress I've made on them. I'll just put a few pictures, and I'll put the rest of the pictures in the video whenever I do get them blended, and then I'm able to get them flowed. But they ought to be pretty good now.